Yeah, great. So Vance and I are going to go through some of the automated customer and contact tracing solutions that are out in the market, and we're powering through Power Automate and Dynamics 365 through our own solution. So hope you'll find the session of interest, and please ask questions along the way through the chat channel, and we'll try and pick it up as we go along. So just as a quick introduction, no, that's not working. Okay, sorry, you have to start again. Oh, sorry about this. Technology, yeah. No, that's wrong. Okay. On screen share. Okay. Let me just go on to the second slide.
There, we have you back, Ed.
Sorry about this, Raz. Just give me 1 second. It's just won't screen share properly.
That's fine.
Okay, I'm just gonna move on to the second slide because I think that's where the problem is.
Okay, yeah, there we go.
Fantastic. We're moving on. Great. All right, listen, I'm going to be brief on this one. So if you don't know about myself and Vance on our company, we're called Sagari. We're a Microsoft Inner Circle for Biz Apps partner, premium tier ISV partner as well. And we have an application that delivers an all-channel, all-function cloud communication solution. So we're actually the first ISV that delivers a fully integrated solution across all different channels. So voice and video and SMS and chat, but also social media as well. So WhatsApp, Facebook, Twitter, all of these channels are all the same on our platform, and our customers can interact with the outside world with their customers across all these different channels. And we also provide then all the underlying functionality that you would require to run your sales and your marketing, with very heavy volume. So contact center application, the ability to record and archive the different conversations regardless of the channels being used, analytics, the ability then to present different numbers, all the carrier capability that you require to carry voice and messaging traffic all around the world. So it's a fully integrated solution end to end. And it's presented as part of Dynamics 365. And indeed, we're using more and more the Power Platform, particularly Automate, in terms of automated communications, which is the area we're going to show you about today. We have a very deep relationship with Microsoft, both commercially, which I've just touched on there, but also technically. So we do lots of different things around the Power Platform, conversation intelligence on top of Dynamics, and our solutions are becoming deeper and deeper entwined. So that's just a little bit about us. We have customers all around the world, over 40 countries now, and some of the recent demand we have about using Power Automate and generating automated communications is very interesting. So just as how this all looks in terms of how we interact with Dynamics and the Power Platform, at the top of the screen there, you can see obviously on the Microsoft side the various things that are relevant to our solution. So you'll see, for example, conversation intelligence. We got customer voice, which I'm going to talk a little bit about in this presentation, because we're using Power Automate in terms of powering Dynamics 365 customer voice. And our solution then is everything that you see in the white boxes there. So we've got what's called Sagari Converse, which is a pillar of our stack, which handles all the different communication channels. So Converse is presented automatically within Dynamics 365 once you log in. If you have what's called the challenge creation framework deployed in the tenancy and you have an account on Sagari, our UI will present in whichever unified app you're using. And as I said before, it covers all the different channels. Whatever channels you want can be provided through Converse. So that's Converse. And then you have what's called Console. Console is where you have all the different functionality, such as the contact center type functionality, the recording and archiving, analytics, etc. Also, then there's what's called Sagari Automate, which is the core of our presentation today. Sagari Automate is the piece of our solution that drives outbound, inbound, two-way two-way automated communications or hybrid communications, where you might have a combination of automation within the business, let's say across SMS or voice or even WhatsApp. And then you might want to go from an automated channel to a live agent channel because that's what the customer wants to do. So automate drives all of that. And we're going to show you a little bit of automation in this presentation. So it's an all business function solution. It can be stood up very quickly in the cloud. There's no software or hardware required. It's all delivered in the browser once it's configured. So that's a little introduction to ourselves. I'm going to ask Vance then to take over from me here and talk about a little bit about what we're doing with Power Automate before we go into some examples. Please, Vance.
Yeah, thanks. Nice to be speaking to you all here today, guys. Yeah, so just very simply, and you'll see that we've called it Sagari Automate. In actual fact, I will tell you that Sagari Automate existed before Power Automate, so we didn't just copy it. So fundamentally, what we're talking about here is having Dynamics 365 Surface with an embedded communications capability, right there on the real estate. It can be moved out of the way, but it can be brought back onto the real estate. It takes up a little bit of room, but not too much. And on the other side of the equation, we have what's called Sagari Automate, and right in the very middle, then we have Power Automate. Now, the fundamental here is to consider this, that ordinarily, when you have a surface like D365, where a user is moving through that surface and picking up records and adding records and amending records, at the same time, a record of interest may require you to communicate with another end user. It could be through just simple messaging. It could be WhatsApp, WeChat. It could be an audio call, video call. It doesn't matter what it is. And from that surface, you can directly drive that communication, and that's the fundamental here. And so it's very interactive. So you've got a scenario where somebody may call in to your D365 instance, pick up the Sagari embedded communicator, and then drive Dynamics. So it's a two-way communication. You can bring a record up onto the screen because somebody's called in, or you can call out from a screen. That's fundamentally it, using any channel that you like at any time. So if we go to the next slide, what we're talking about here is not the interactive side so much, which you see at the top, where the customer is either communicated with from the surface or communicates into the surface, but rather more at the bottom, where rather than it being interactive, you can actually completely automate the whole communications system. So what we're doing here fundamentally is saying, look, sure, somebody can click a button and do click to dial, or some action may create some form of outbound communication. Maybe you've updated an order and you want to automatically call the customer to say, hey, the agent wants to talk to the customer to say this has happened. So there's a certain amount of automation within the D365 service as such, but this is outside of the agent altogether, or the user of D365. This is completely an automated position, whereby the D365 data at the back end is in a position to be able to be trawled through or passed for a small or indeed extremely large batch, millions of contact scenarios that you want to actually make happen without any user intervention whatsoever. So Microsoft Power Automate in the bottom right hand side there is able to pass through a bunch of records on a daemon. So it could be at, say, 9 o'clock every morning. We want to take a look at all of the people that we have on our contact tracing scenario for COVID-19. This is just an example. And we want to make contact with all of those people to see whether today they have some symptoms. So you pass through the Dynamics 365 data set, find out all of those guys that we're still in the 14-day period, and we're going to create 7.8 million SMS communique that we're going to send out to those guys and say, how are you today? If you're good, press 0. If you're not, press 1. There's an example. So what Power Automate does then is it drives the Sagari Automate situation or scenario by driving through the Sagari Automate COM API. So it just fires 1.7 million, let's say, for example, SMS requests. They will get sent into the database, and then without going through too much detail here, the various components then pick up those records from the database and either spread them out throughout the day so that it doesn't put too much load on the users that are ultimately going to have to pick this up, or it may just send them all out at once. It doesn't matter. It then goes through the Automate channel and we fire out all of those SMSs. As the guys come back with 0, I don't have any symptoms, 1, I'm feeling a little bit ill today, the reverse happens. They go back into the database. The system picks up the records that have come back in, sends them to Power Automate, Microsoft Power Automate, and Microsoft Power Automate updates their record. With on Tuesday, they said they had a few problems, had a week off, and so you can see the whole cycle there, whereby without any kind of interaction with the user, the whole automation occurs, and the reverse is true also. Customers can come back to us unsolicited. It may not be that we've sent stuff out to them. It may well be that they've just come into us. It's a service that's open. I'd like to reorder my product. It's open at all times, so they just type reorder on an SMS, or they call in, or they send a WhatsApp. It doesn't matter what it is. It comes into the database, goes off to Power Automate. Power Automate actions it on the D365 surface.
Great, Vance. So here's I'll just Vance touched on some examples here. So here on your screen, you can see a hybrid journey or multiple journeys that our customers are doing using exactly the approach that Vance just outlined there. So this, for example, in a manufacturing business, you've got IVR options on the voice side across the top line. They have 3 options. They choose an automated option of reorder, like what Vance said. The customer hears the purchase confirmation via text to speech, or the customer, for example, then could use a SMS option. I'm going to show you this in a second, actually. They receive the purchase confirmation on SMS, or then the customer may actually call the company and speak to a live agent. The live agent updates Dynamics, customer then receives an SMS to inform the delivery date of the product. In this case, it's ice. And the customer elects to change the delivery date on the SMS. They could do it on the SMS. I could ring a live agent, and the agent updates again in Dynamics what the customer wants. We're going to show you this in a second. But as Van said there's multiple scenarios for this. So we've got this, utility companies are using it for contract renewal. We talked about a manufacturing business for reordering. We got contact tracing. This underlying type of approach is used for contact tracing, which Vance touched on. So just on an example of a hybrid customer journey, this is a North American company that produces manufactured ice. And on the right hand side, hopefully you'll see this when the IVR starts. But we have an inbound call into. Come to Arctic Glacier. To reorder ice now, press 1. For billing inquiries, press 2. To chase an order, press 3. Or press 0 at any time to speak to someone.
Okay, well, I'm going to reorder, so I'm going to press 1.
Your next delivery will be tomorrow at 12:15.
Perfect.
If you would like to change this delivery date, press 5.
I'm happy with that delivery date, so I can end the call.
Okay, so this was, if you remember the previous slide, everybody, this was the option number 1. This was the automated voice solution. So again, remember, everything that Vance said is happening here. So Power Automate is now updating Dynamics with what that customer asked. So we've refreshed it, and you'll see that bag of ice has been confirmed for that new delivery date. So that was the delivery date for tomorrow. So you can see that there in the middle of the screen, and that was all done via Power Automate and Sagari Automate using speech to text. So there's 2 more scenarios that are in this, which I'm just going to try and click onto a little bit here. So This is the SMS option here. So instead of using voice, the customer now is going to go to articulate. So he's going to send an SMS this time for a reorder. So let's just watch this for a second. So it might be a retailer, for example, they need more ice, and he's put in reorder on his SMS. He hasn't made a voice call. So again, Power Automate's in action here, and it's going to update dynamics with the customer's request. So we've received it, and it's been confirmed. So let's have a look in dynamics to see what's happened. And there we are. We've another order submitted, all automated. Okay, so then one last example here is it's outbound journey. So this is the customer, or this is the ice company confirming to the customer that the order delivery is tomorrow, and is giving them some options. You see on the right hand side. So the customer has pressed 5 to confirm, and again same applies again. So that'll be confirmed, and the underlying process will continue on, and that ice delivery will go out. So what's happening here? So this is your prime example of business process automation using Dynamics, using Power Automate and our own solution. And it's driving, for this particular customer, it's driving customer satisfaction, it's driving efficiency, it's reducing cost, of course, because less agents are involved, and it's all streamlined. So, and also very competitive. So in this particular case, this particular customer's own competition don't use SMS or automated voice. So an impact here is absolutely tremendous. And you should be able to think about the multiple applications this has across automated business processes. So I'm going to go on to the next slide. This is on the outbound side. So this is just slightly different variation of what we were discussing, whereby again, you can use the automated approach for outbound sales campaigns. So if you think about Dynamics 365 sales, and you're doing, let's say, customer renewals, or you're doing some kind of a prospecting campaign, you can create a campaign in Dynamics. You can then power that campaign outbound using Sagari Automate. Agents are deployed to answer the calls as they're connected, depending on who the customer is. It might be an existing account, it might be a prospect, it might be someone completely new. Depending on any of those scenarios, it'll pop it in Dynamics, and it'll allow the agent then to know who they're dealing with if there's a record in Dynamics. All call records in relation to the campaign are stored in Dynamics. Also, SMS can be used. Even WhatsApp now can be used in these type of outbound campaigns. And you can see there's multiple stories there. So this is also a variation of the theme, but in this case, live agents are involved in dealing with the actual customer interactions. So just thought we'd show you a little bit on that. I'm not going to show you a demo of it. This one is, again, using Power Automate. Vance and our tech team are working with Microsoft in launching this solution. And this is our Dynamics 365 customer voice solution. So what's happening at the bottom of the screen, everybody, is a survey is being created in Dynamics 365 customer voice. And the customer is going to send out this survey using voice to the outside party. So we just might listen to this for a second.
Hello Vance, this is your employer Kotoso calling to check in your wellness today. Your health and well-being are important to us. We will go through a few questions. Please answer based on your experience in the last 24 hours. Answering yes or no. First, have you been in close contact with a person who has tested positive for COVID-19 that you know of?
No.
Answering yes or no. Do you have any symptoms that includes fever, coughing, sore throat, difficulty of breathing, body aches, or loss of taste?
Yes.
Can you please describe your symptoms?
Fever.
Thank you for providing the information to ensure a safe and healthy work environment. Be safe and stay healthy. Goodbye.
And on the screen, then you'll see the automated responses are updated in customer voice. And that, again, is using Power Automate, the power that two-way interaction across the automated voice channel. Vance, do you want to maybe mention on the SMS side as well, that what we're doing at Microsoft around that? I think that might be of interest as well.
Yeah, what if I could remember? We were talking the other day. The most common phrase, or the most used phrase in 2020 was "you're on mute." So yeah, just imagine it being just exactly the same. So what happens is that the Microsoft customer voice application, you can craft all of these various questions, and they all come in different types. That it only showed a very small number of them there. You can do ratings, so on a scale of 1 to 5, you know, how dapper is Ed Grant's dress. I'd reply 5, and then there are other questions like just in free form. You know, can you describe your experience with our company today and anything you might do to improve our service? And they can just chat away, and we will transcribe all of that. So you can see that's very rich, and you can hear what it's like in voice. That particular voice that you heard there is a little bit robotic. In production, it's actually much better than that. Uses a neural net type speech generator. On the SMS side, what we actually do is take exactly the same set of questions, but we craft a template and send it as it's not data, but it is an SMS. And it drives it onto the phone, and then you can respond to the SMS on the phone as well. So it's just exactly the same thing, but moving into the data side as opposed to the voice side. And the same goes with WhatsApp. We can create these WhatsApp templates, and you can just fill them in on your screen and press submit, and away you go. All comes back to Dynamics 365 customer voice and gets updated in the surface there.
So you can see that this is customer feedback management is what this area is in, and again it's automating that. So as opposed to sending out an email template and waiting for a response or not getting a response, this approach then turns into real-time automated updates of in the case there, obviously it was a COVID-19 survey for employees, but clearly it could have any purpose. So the various use cases, if we just recap what we showed you here today, was we showed you automated communications for manufacturing. We talked about customer voice. We talked about the contact tracing type scenario, and the demand for these automated interactions with customers and staff and contacts is absolutely everywhere, and it's all the reasons that I said to you there. It's efficiency, it's real time, it's reducing cost, it's customer satisfaction. So huge area, and Power Automate plays a huge role in it. So it's there's some fantastic applications coming around this area. So I hope this was of interest. So just to finish up, and I don't particularly want to talk about ourselves, but this is what we do in terms of the points that we're looking to solve for customers. And as I hinted, it's widespread. So the digital transformation of the customer experience, think about that manufacturing experience there. That is a huge boon for that company, Arctic Glacier, to move to that kind of automated process and give them a differentiator versus their competition. Again, if there's high volume involved, this is a great approach to use automation as well. Business process automation we spoke about, self-service, customer feedback management, and all these areas are hugely in play across lots of different sectors. So what we talked about today were utilities, we talked about manufacturing, we talked about healthcare, but we're seeing it widespread. Financial services is obviously very obvious as well, particularly in the B2C space, doing prospecting, doing customer interaction. For example, God forbid, debt collection. So debt collection with real-time credit card payments of debt collection and so on. So all this is happening at the moment. So thought it would be useful, Raz, to show the audience this. And if there's any questions in the chat, which I'm not looking at, please let us know. Or if you can take live questions, that'd be great. We still have a few minutes, but I hope our session was of interest. And if there's anything we can do to help, or any questions or areas that people want advice on, please reach out, and we'll be very happy to engage.
Thank you once again, Ed and Vance, showcasing the omni-channel empowerment for the Power Platform. So essentially what you showed there was the model-driven Power App, and you're also showing the use cases in two in particular, one in healthcare and the other for the Arctic ice. So two I would say very significant use cases already for an automated communication requirement. Just looking at the questions here in the chat, there's a question saying thanks, very nice. So I was wondering if anybody had any kind of industry challenges where they feel they could leverage on using this kind of automatic communication response solution. So